I used to think the ability to multitask was such an amazing thing. To be able to do multiple things at one time, I thought this is the way of life. This is how we need to actually navigate. It's always been taught or understood that if you can do more than one thing at one time, then that means that you're more productive. That means that you're doing things. You can handle more than one task given to you. And so many of us, we've been doing it so well and for so long, we're actually good at it. And it was something that started out being a good thing to do. But how many of you know that too much of anything is not good? And so now we have been multitasking for years. A number of us, we're wearing so many hats, we're doing so many things at one time, and it was looked at as a quality. I know in the career field and the workforce and all the things that we have to do, one of the main questions people used to ask is, how are you with multitasking? Can we give her more than one assignment? Can we give him more than one task to do and they be able to complete it at one time? So much so that it was looked at as a deficiency if you could not multitask, if you were not able to do more than one thing at one time. Now, because we have been doing it for so long, we don't know how to cut it off. We don't know how to stop trying to do more than one thing at a time. We have engrafted it into our life. So now that in every area of our life, we are multitasking, we are thinking more than one thing at one time. We are acting more than one way at one time. We don't know how to cut it off because we have been doing it for so long. We are hyperactive now. Our minds are overactive now because we don't know how to process one thing at one time. You know, one of the things that that has happened is that, so you know how something can start off positive, but it ends up being negative if we don't know how to handle it or if we are doing it all the time. And that's how it is with being able to multitask. It has affected us in so many ways. And one of the ways that it has affected us is that it has affected our ability to be present in a situation. What do I mean? People can get you and you could be in a room, you can be in an atmosphere, you can be sitting with your family and your body is there, but you're not present. Your mind is not there. Your mind is thinking about what you have to do later on or what task needs to be completed. So therefore, we don't even know what it's like to be present anymore. It's a battle to actually be in the moment. It's a battle to actually be able to be in the environment with what it is that we're doing or to be able to focus. And it's because we've been managing doing multiple things over and throughout the years, and now it's been a habit for us, and what started out to be something wonderful has now been something that we cannot stop doing. And also we're learning now that we are having trouble finishing our thoughts through. When you're actually needing your mind to make decisions or you're needing to be able to handle different things, sometimes to do them well, you actually have to finish your thought. You actually have to finish it all the way through. Think about it all the way through. But that's very hard. It's becoming more harder to do because we don't have the time to commit to one task anymore because there's so many things that we feel and we think that we have to do all at one time. That's why it becomes harder to focus. Have you been struggling with focusing in this time and in this hour? It's hard to concentrate. You ever been in a place where it's like, actually, I can't even concentrate? Our minds are overloaded. Our bodies are overloaded. It's because our lack of focus. It's hard to actually focus in on one thing. When you're watching, you're doing maybe something around the house, you're thinking about, not only do I need to do this, but I got all of these other things. Or maybe you're a business person and you're actually trying to handle and run your business or your job or your career, and you're in the midst of you trying to work out your budget, you're thinking about all them emails you got to get to. You're thinking about that meeting next week. You're thinking about all of these things. So it makes it almost impossible to be able to focus on the thing or the task at hand. This is the problem with multitasking. Yes, there's some ways that in which this is a good thing, and we've learned to use it in a good way without even realizing how much it has changed the culture of the world today, too much so that even in moments when we really need to focus, we cannot focus. When we really need to pay attention, we cannot pay attention. When we need to be at our family members or our daughters and sons recitals and things that they're in, we can't be present anymore because we are so busy, tied up in our mind and things, consistently thinking about what is the next thing that I have to do, or the next thing that I have on my plate. We are a people that is more disjointed than ever. What do I mean? There is always more to do. We're people who feel like there's more and more to do. We don't know how to rest. We don't know how to cut off because we're used to multitasking and doing so much. And the truth of the matter is, you have so much to do with so little time. It's like you're running a race. Life becomes a race to where a finish line that we know that we don't even obtain. It's like you're in a constant race. It's like you're constantly running towards somewhere. You're constantly running towards some task. If you don't have to finish this, you got to go over here and finish that. It feels like we are never getting caught up. Are you a person who feels like I have so much to do, I have so little time to do it, and you wonder if I'm ever going to get caught up, if I'm ever going to go ahead? This is a talk about how there's negative effects to the ability to multitask. It started out as being a great thing where I can get so much done, but now we don't know how to cut it off. We don't know how to say, okay, enough is enough. We don't know how to say, today I'm focusing on one thing and I'm going to finish that thought all the way through. So what happens is that we end up in a situation where there are negative effects behind it. And so I'm going to outline and tell you a few negative effects of multitasking. Number one is it was perceived to mean that we would be productive. If you were a multitasker, you were going to be productive because you got a lot of stuff done. But what we're finding out is that there is actually a decrease in productivity when you are multitasking. You are actually not always getting things done. You sometimes are starting a lot of things but finishing very few, or you're very, very busy but not really accomplishing things. Sometimes, and if you produce, let's say you're getting things done, they're not always being done in the quality in which it could be if you were able to focus on that one thing at a time. So we learn that although it was meant to enable us to be productive, there has been, in some instances, a decrease in productivity. We're actually not producing all that we could if we were intentionally being focused on what was at hand. Also, we're learning that we are missing things that we would normally have caught, things that we would have normally did not make that mistake. Now we're starting to make that mistake. Now we're starting to miss that. Have you ever seen something you say, how did I miss that? How did I forget that the stove was still on? How did I forget my child's graduation? How did I forget things that we would not have normally forgotten? We are now forgetting because our minds are in so many different places, and our thoughts, so much so that we cannot be present anymore, and we cannot focus on the task at hand. So we are actually forgetting things more. You're thinking, okay, I am being more forgetful. How did I forget that? I know I had that appointment. How did I not show up on it? Could it be that your mind is so busy counting up various tasks that you have to do that this is why you're forgetting? Because you and I have forgotten what it meant to be present, forgotten what it meant to be able to focus on more than on one thing at a time. And so there is an increase of mistakes, missteps, things that we are tripping over, things that we're not remembering. So that is some of the things that are a negative effect of multitasking. One of the most important things as it relates to negative sides of this is that you often feel drained. Maybe you may not be physically tired, but have you ever been mentally tired? Have you ever been mentally drained? You actually like, I don't want to think about another thing. I don't want to focus on another thing. So sometimes we are actually mentally exhausted. We are also sometimes physically exhausted. Why? Because today you have thought about 75 different things that you have to get done today. You have thought about all these different things on your plate, every single email. Now, today, we get so many emails in our inboxes. We wonder, are we going to be able to get back to everybody in this lifetime? There's so many phone calls that we have to make. Are we going to get back to everybody in this lifetime? There's so many different things and people that we have to catch up with, and this errand I need to run, and this task I need to complete. All of these things can be draining. They can be mentally draining because we no longer know how to process one thing at a time. Now we have been in a habit of processing all of these different things. And I'm not saying our mind and our bodies cannot handle it, but I am saying that if you find yourself drained and you find yourself tired and you find yourself mentally out of it, it could be because you got too much on your mind. You have too much going on in your life. You got too many things. You're trying to be Superman or Superwoman to everybody, and you and I don't know how to concentrate anymore on one thing at a time. This also results in things such as anxiety. It results in stress. It increases the increase of pressure in our life, right? It's the pressure to perform, the pressure to meet the goal, the pressure to get it all done is now causing us to be more anxious, more stressed out, more depressed than we have ever been in our life. We are a more anxious and depressed people. Think about it, than we have ever been in years. And part of it is because we have somehow mastered to multitask ourselves into all of these different places, not remembering that we're only one person, not remembering that we're only one person that can only do certain things. So there's some negative things that result out of this, and anxiety and stress is one, because you feel pressured to perform. And if you don't get everything done, you feel bad. You have guilt, or you're sitting here thinking about it. We go home thinking about all the things that we have to do at work, or that we didn't get done, or what our bosses are requiring of us, right? And so now I'm off work, but yet my mind is still working about work. It's because we have not mastered the ability to cut it off. And so ultimately, if we're not careful, we'll get to a place where we are either burnt out or we are either broke down. Have you ever been burnt out and broke down? Like, my body's actually shutting down because I have not been able to master the fact that I don't need to multitask all the time. It was never meant for us to do it consistently all the time. We have to learn when to multitask and when not to multitask. And so that means one of the things that we have to do is, you may be a person listening to this video and you say, you know what, that's me. I am a multitasker. I will multitask to I can't anymore, right? I got 5 things waiting for me soon as I get off this video. I got 10 people reaching for me soon as I hang up on this call. You might be that person, and you might ask, what do I do? If you are a person who you now don't know how to stop it because you've been doing it for so long, one of the things that I would encourage you to do is start to protect your focus. What do I mean? You actually have to start to protect your focus and guard your time. That means that when you are focused on something, you crowd out the noise, you crowd out the other things. Like, for example, you don't take the extra phone call. If you're in the middle of thought, no, I need to finish my thought. I need to finish this. So I actually protect that time. I can't have this conversation with you right now. I can't go to the store in this moment right now. I can't go and meet your need in this moment. I need to focus. And we need to have strategic times of focus. So one of the things you need to do is when you are in the midst of focusing, you actually have to protect and guard the time, because one of the things that happens is that interruptions come and distractions come and things cause you to get off track. But you actually have to say, no, I am focusing on one thing. And that means even in your mind, sometimes I'm trying to be focused here, and now here comes this thought, and now here comes that thought. And you have to say, no, I'm not going to think about that right now. I'm not going to think about this right now. In this moment, I'm thinking about this one thing right now. And you have to protect it, and you have to guard it. And then when you are finished and when you have processed your thought, then you can go on to that next thing. Then you can go on, but you have given your undivided attention. This is very hard to do, to give something your undivided attention. We need this in life. We need this in our families. We need this in our marriages. And it's one of the things that is hurting us, because we have not learned how to be, we've learned ourselves taught ourselves how to multitask, and now we don't know how to focus. It's like it's out of order. And so another thing that you can do to help in this area is to actually practice being present. What do I mean? If you are having family night, be present in family night with your family. What does that mean? No, I'm not talking to somebody else. No, I'm not going to take that call. No, I'm not going to run that errand. If I say that today at 5 o'clock we're going to have this time, then today at 5 o'clock we're going to have this time, and I'm not going to let anything else interfere. We have to learn and practice how to be present. If you're going to be like this in your marriage, you actually have to say, oh no, this is date night. I don't care what everybody else needs today. Right now we're going to have a date, and we're going to be intentional about it, and we're going to be focused on each other. You actually have to practice being present. If I'm going to the movies, I'm going in this movie, I'm going to watch this movie. I'm not going to be in here thinking about everything I got to do when I leave out of here. You have to practice it. Practice makes perfect. You actually have to start trying it out and say, no, I'm going to be present here. If my family needs me, I'm going to be right there with my family today. If I'm going to relax today, today's going to be my day of relaxation. I'm not going to take that work phone call. I'm not going to do those other things. You actually have to practice it, okay? The other thing is you want to release the pressure. What do I mean by that? Release pressure. And what you have to do is say, do what you can do and get back to the rest. We also have to recognize that not everything needs to be done in that hour, in that day, at that very moment. So do what you can do. Okay, not always what you want to do, not always what you're pressing yourself in the ability to do, but learn to say, I can do this today, but I can't do that. Okay. And do what you can do. And you say, I'll get back to that. Okay. Most of the time we feel pressure to perform and do something that can really wait to another time, that can really wait to another moment. But the pressure is on us to get it all done. So actually start practicing releasing that pressure and say, no, today, although I can do 5 and 10 and 16 things, I'm actually today going to do 2. Okay, so that is one of the things that we can start doing to help us. The other thing is to start mentally, I call it mentally dumping things. So that means that out of your mind, okay? Sometimes you actually have to turn your mind off. And that's hard, right? It takes practice, but you actually can you ever think about nothing? Like, I don't want to think about anything. Okay, there's moments when we need to turn our mind off. I call it mental dumping. Sometimes you have to get through thoughts. So if you sit and you sit in a quiet room, you have all these different thoughts going on, and you have to start dumping them. Okay, all right, today I'm not thinking about that. Today I actually want to get to a place where I'm just being. I'm not thinking about anything. And that takes practice, because your mind, all powerful it still needs a break from all that we have on it. This is why people are having headaches. This is why people are having aneurysms. This is why people are having these mental and emotional breakdowns. It's because it's so much on our mind. So we actually have to start dumping things off our mind. Some things, another way that you dump something off your mind is to write it down or put it in your notebook on your phone or whatever. Don't keep everything up here. For years, I was keeping everything up here. Like, I got to remember this. I got to remember that. I got to remember this. And your mind is like, what? what are you doing? So, oh no, I need to carry a calendar. Oh no, I need to write it down. Okay, I'm not gonna remember it. I'm gonna put it in my phone. Who told you that you have to remember everything? I had to tell myself. Who told me I had to remember everything? And when we start forgetting, you feel bad. No, no, no. You weren't intended to carry everything up here. So you actually have to say, okay, well, thank you. I know that, but I'm not gonna keep it up here. I'm gonna put it on a pad. I'm not gonna keep it up here. I'm gonna put it in my phone. I'm not gonna keep it in my mind. I'm gonna put it on my calendar, right? So practice dumping things out of your mind so that you have enough room there for what you really need it for. You want to also make sure that you're relaxing. You want to take breaks. Okay, I had to. I'm preaching to the choir. I'm talking to myself here. Take breaks. You ever been in a work day and you just work, and you're like, oh, I sat down at 6 o'clock in the morning to work, and I'm still 3 o'clock in the afternoon, still sitting here working and didn't take a break. Take a break. I promise you, the work is going to be there. The responsibility is going to be there. The tasks are still going to keep coming. The emails, the phone calls, it's still going to be there. But guess what? You have to take a break, and you have to break away. And that means get up, get away from it, right? If you still got the computer near you, it ain't really a break. Because if you anything like me, I'm still thinking about what's on that computer. I'm still thinking about what's going on or what I got to get to. So sometimes I got to get up from it, go outside, go for a walk, go to the store and movie, whatever. But get away from it, and take an actual mental, emotional, and a body break. Okay, and that's hard to do. And then one of the things I want to encourage you to do is to start having perspective about this thing. Let's put it in perspective here. I have never seen nobody ever work themselves to life. I'll say that again. I have never seen anybody work themselves to life, but I sure have seen people work themselves to death. I sure have seen people work themselves to burn out. What do I mean? If you drop today, guess what? Life's still going to go on. If you drop today, they're going to fill on your job. They're going to fill your place. They're going to get somebody else in there, and you're going to be just a memory. I remember when he was here. Listen, perspective says the fact that I can't work, and never take a break. I can't work, and never take a vacation. I can't work, and never get away from it, right? Why? Because if I'm not careful, I will work myself to death. And when I do, other people are going to move on without me. Right? So the reality of it is, let me put this thing in perspective. Although there's 50 million things to do, I'm only one person, okay? I only have one mind, and I only have one body. And the reality of it is that I need a break, okay? I need to take a break away from it. So I want to encourage you to know that there's nobody, that I've seen people on their deathbed, and I've never heard nobody say, I wish I could have thought a little bit about 50 million more things, or I wish I could have worked several million thousand more hours. No, they wanted to seize the time. They wanted to be present. I wish I was there. I wish I was present. And that's what I'm saying. While you have life to live in your bones, be present. Be focused, okay? Listen, everything don't need to be accomplished in one day. The world wasn't even built in one day. So that means for you and I, we have to unlearn the bad habit of always multitasking. Yes, sometimes there's a time for it, but it's not every time for it. And now we have to actually unlearn the habit that we have now to be able to learn again what it was like to focus on one thing at one time, to be present in our lives, in our own hearts, to be present in our mind, and to not be overloaded. So be encouraged today to know that that you can do this. It just takes intentional practice. So while everything needs to get done, it doesn't always need to get done today. So just be encouraged to know that if you don't multitask today, it's all right. One thing at a time is sometimes the order today. So I encourage you to begin to practice being present, practice focusing. And I hope that this will bless you, and know that everything, it does not have to be completed and accomplished today. Take care.